Right, so welcome everyone. This is the first interview in a series of 25 interviews that I'm doing, really to share what people might get out of the Birmingham event. So all the interviews will be with people that attended the Bean event in London last year, and it's just to really, for me, to hear their stories and what's still happening in their lives as a result of the event, but also to give you a taster of what it's like to be part of it, and perhaps give you ideas of what it might be like for you and why you might want to attend. So today I'm really excited because I'm joined by Rose, and I only know Rose because of the London event. I think I reached out soon after to thank you, like for all your involvement and the effort and everything. And we've stayed in touch since. We've run an event together. We're on Ankshire School together, and I just wanted to give people a brief introduction about who you are to me, and that someone that I know used to be in teaching, moved across to coaching relatively a short time ago. I've got it in my head that it was only a couple of years ago, and already you've got you've built up your practice, you've got a stable practice, and the really cool thing is that you have got clients that have been with you right from the start, that keep renewing because of the amazing work that you're doing together. I see you as someone that's infinitely capable, like you're all over everything, helping wherever you can, a fantastic leader, and I don't know, I just see you as someone that keeps on giving. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that before we get started.
Thanks for, yeah, no, just thank you. Thank you for describing me and creating me in that way. That's really, really touched to hear that. So thank you. And the facts of that, the facts of my work is true.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
And so if you're happy to dive straight in, I think the first thing that I wanted to know was what made you get involved with the London event last year? Like, because I think you put your hand up like fairly quickly. Um, you were very active and involved in helping and bringing that about. So I just wondered, like, what made you get involved? Why did you think it would be a good idea?
So yeah, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Is the short answer. I had left teaching and I had entered coaching, and I decided to go full time quite quickly. And I'd hired, I was part of a business coaching program that I signed up to. And those coaches recommended the Ultimate Coach manuscript to me. They said, well, they were reading the Ultimate Coach. So the book about Steve Hardison, written by Amy Hardison and Alan D. Thompson, they'd read the manuscript and they weren't allowed to share it with us. But they said, as soon as you can get your hands on this book, you need to read it. And they started bringing the concepts around being and how it was so impactful for them and important, and sharing it within the business group. And I just sucked it up. Everything they were sharing, it made a lot of sense in the way that they structured it. So when I heard, I joined the Facebook group, and when Matt Smith posted very shortly, either before or after the Arizona event that took place, which I watched online, when Matt Smith posted, I've had a vision, I want to put on an event in London, I thought, I was kind of quiet in my practice at that point. And I thought, I'm really good at organizing stuff. I'll help. Yeah, this sounds really fun. I want more of this. So that was that. That was really it. It just kind of, it made sense. And I loved, without it sounding ethereal and woo, I loved the energy that was like coming from the people involved, and also that was being put out, surrounding the idea of the event. So that was really it.
Yeah, and I don't want to get sidetracked here too much, but I imagine there was a whole lot of learning and takeaways and growth just from being involved in that.
Yeah.
And um, and maybe we'll do another chat sometime on that. But what I wanted to give people a feel for is kind of like what the event's about, and what it might be like on the day or after, like following the event. Now, I know you were involved, so you perhaps and I may be making this up, but you perhaps didn't get chance to kind of soak it in as much as some of us did. But I'd love to know kind of what was the biggest thing for you from the actual day? Like not the involvement leading up to it, but on the actual day, what stuck with you, or like made the biggest impact?
So one of the biggest takeaways for me was really being in a room with hundreds of people who were looking in the same direction, who were not literally, because we were all facing the stage, but who were curious about being and were really enamored with the speakers. Like, there was, the only way I can describe it is, there's something about when a group of people come together who are on a journey, but are curious about the same sort of things, and it creates a something that you can't touch, like an energy or an ambiance in the room that is really, really powerful. And being in that, well, I've never been in an environment like that before. Never experienced anything like that before. And I've been reflecting on this as we've been talking, because I'm involved in organising Birmingham as well. And I went to the India event, and it's the same. That was one of the things that pulled me to India, to go as a participant, because there's two things. As soon as you buy a ticket to an event like this, and you fully commit, you choose that you're going to go, things started to shift for me. So for the London event, I had to buy a ticket, and I spent my last, I mean, I didn't have much money at the time. I spent my last £100 on the ticket. And I remember feeling slightly incredulous, like, this is my last £100 and I'm buying a ticket to an event that I'm organising. Like, what? This doesn't make sense. But it really shifted something in me to be fully in and committed to creating the event, and then being part of and bathing in this, the build up, moving things to make sure I'm there, organising childcare, organising a room. I had to big asks to share a room with a friend, and all these kind of things that, sort of from a participant point of view, were really important and really touched me. And it was very similar for India, really similarly. And it meant that on the day, just the expansion of being in, I guess all I can describe is like bathing in this love, if you like, of everyone being so open and ready and prepared. It's unusual. to come across somebody in an event like that who's scowling in a corner with their arms crossed.
Yeah.
Unusual. And that's just very, it's really appealing to me. And it was something that I, as I say, I haven't experienced before. And that I really think is a massive selling point for these kind of events, because when you're open in that way and with other people who are open and curious as well, life-changing shifts can occur. You can hear something that you maybe haven't heard before, and so that's one of the key things for me.
I love that you went straight there, because I remember, so I was part of the Ultimate Coach Facebook group as well. Like, I read the manuscript before the book came out, and I think I was one of the first people to join the group, and which I found a little bit odd at first, because I'd definitely not read the book as instructed. Like, I didn't know what that meant until I had a conversation with a couple of people in the group. But that energy that you're describing, I experienced that in the group. I think it was the first time being being part of a Facebook group where I felt it was completely okay to just share myself, to just say, well, actually, I'm not getting this. I don't know what you mean, or I'm seeing it like this, or I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that, and that all of it was okay.
Mm.
And I remember when Matt shared that, because I listened to the Arizona event as well. It was like live streamed, wasn't it?
Mm.
And it was late, obviously, in the UK. And it was great. But like, when Matt shared that he wanted to put on an event in London, I knew immediately that I wanted to go and be in a room. I think it was just obvious that, like, in a room full of people that were that accepting, good things would come from it.
Mm.
And I don't mean, oh, I went there to build my business or anything like that. I just knew that connections would be made, and that, like, even if it was a friendship or whatever, I just knew that only good could come from that. And I was like, right, I'm in. And it was before I knew about there were going to be speakers, and because I'm not like, I think I would be drawn more to events that were that allowed discussion and things like that, rather than big speaker events, which is the picture I had in my mind. So it was like the people and the energy in the room that I was drawn to, and then everything else was a bonus. So yeah, I love that you brought that up. And so my second question then would be, what, if anything, and it doesn't have to be something, but what, if anything, is different from being there in London last year?
For me personally, I think being involved in the organization, but also because I was really fortunate, because the role I had, a lot of it was organizing things in the lead up to the day, and then the actual day my role was less critical, if you like. It was important that I was there, so I was able to absorb and enjoy the event, as well as being involved in the organization team, which was, I'm just so really, really forever grateful for. So what has been really different for me has been two things. and it was really started and compounded by being at this event, was in fact three things: the way I listen to people, and and that's a big part of where we've started working together as well. I hadn't really appreciated until that event how important I am in creating my listening of other people, of how I am. I remember hearing the listener holds all the power. And it's taken me a while to really understand that, that was one seed that was planted there and has just grown exponentially since. And that's been massive for me in my relationship with my partner, with my children, how I show up for clients, friends. So much. I've got such a greater understanding and awareness of how I listen. The second thing is that things are possible that seem impossible in this current moment, something that looks impossible. I really started to see at that event that, and that's part of the privilege of being involved in the organization of it, is that it looked, a few months before, it looked like impossible to create it, and that it might not happen in my mind, right? Not that it was going to be called off, but in my mind, it's like, how is this even possible? And it was really seeing that the faith and the commitment is more important than what looks possible, because actually anything is possible. So really seeing that and experiencing that, that's shifted a lot for me. I've really seen clearly through that lens that anything I look at, I'm looking through the lens of now rather than what is possible, what is actually possible. And I can't remember the third thing now. So maybe those are the two major things. Those are the two things that I think that really stand out for me at this point. And I just keep building on that, actually, because going to the India event for a long time, it looked really impossible to me in the way that I was looking at it. And I meant I sat on the fence for quite a long time, until quite last minute, actually. And when I decided, I really and bought a ticket again, quite last minute. And again, it was my last like £100 and something at that moment. Yeah, spot the theme. But then things started to shift for me, because they had to. And that's not, and so I guess one of the learnings is that you don't have to wait until things are at that have to, that you can make the choice to shift things and move in a particular, literally in this case, a particular direction around the globe. And it may look impossible and crazy, but it's completely doable.
So what I, you might not have meant this, but what I heard in that was like, you don't have to wait till all the conditions are right. You can like make a decision, and then and then it gets created.
Yeah, and I says that's a shorter way of saying of expressing it. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, and this, I guess, it's the difference really between. I mean, it's really like exercising choice, and the difference between reacting and creating, isn't it? In there, and blowing up that story of, oh, I'm not a creative person, I can't just create things, which I think is kind of underlying some of this, that who am I to just create a trip to India? Who am I to create an incredible marriage? Who am I to have a close relationship with my children? No, it's that's not possible. It's sort of just realizing that that's the prison, if you like, that I have created for myself and keep myself playing small. And all these acts of being involved in the event, it's just a metaphor for what's available in other areas of my life. and the relationship dynamic that has shifted since being involved, since attending the London event, is one of the areas that I'm most proud of for myself, really.
Yeah.
And because I can see it more and more clearly all the time, and I have more awareness of how I'm being, how I'm showing up, and how that impacts everyone else around me. But it's all my own creation. I always before was reacting, believed I was reacting to everyone else. And I now see that no, I was creating the whole thing.
Well, what I'm hearing is like that really what happened is you know that the wall of possibility that you lived in has kind of been broken open.
Mm.
And
Mm.
yeah, how huge is that?
Yeah, yeah. And I don't think we can underestimate that, actually. And maybe it's kind of dawning on me now having this conversation, because what's modeled, what has been modeled to me, and that's one of the amazing things about London. I had never witnessed in person a couple, for example, like Steve and Amy, expressing their love for each other so publicly, so in such a way that was really genuine. And, it would be really easy to have a story about that. Like, oh, they're just, they're American. We don't do that here. What's all that about? Just like we could have a load of stories about that would make sense to me if I'm coming from that place of that's not for me. Who am I to have anything like that? But in the modeling of what's possible, you don't have to choose that, exactly that. You can choose it, but you can choose something that resonates for you, that is as deep and powerful as that, and start moving towards it. And I think that's what's incredible about hearing speakers and witnessing speakers who are on this, exploring this path of what is possible for you when you start seeing where you're getting in your own way, holding yourself back, giving your power away, all these things, like listening to the thoughts in your head more than seeing what's actually available. And that's a real, yeah, that's really that's a very tangible aspect of being at an event like that, like London, that I just had never experienced that before, and realized that so many of my ideas about love and what it looked like in a close relationship was based on TV, films, my immediate family, and possibly some people walking up and down the street,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like, and that's okay, but it's quite limited.
yeah.
It's not the full spectrum. Yeah.
And I love as well that like what you're saying with this kind of what's possible being blown open doesn't just limit you to like, oh my God, they've got a gorgeous relationship, I want that.
Mm.
It's like, well, what do I want to create here? What do I
Mm.
want it to look like for me and my partner?
Mm.
And it just it opens everything up.
Mm.
Because that can be as playful um, and as imaginative as you like.
Mm. Yeah,
How wicked.
100%. 100%. And I think the real benefit as well is, in a really tangible sense, is that's had a huge impact on how I parent my children, because I was able to, and I can attribute this directly to London, like off the back of seeing this and kind of trying to understand how important my role is in relationships, and how I show up, how that impacts other people, and how what I see as possible impacts what I say and how I respond to, say, my child when they're really upset about something that I think is just, in my mind, isn't very important. That's shifted everything, because it's allowed me to just expand all of that and just be far more accepting, far less reactive.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean permissive. It means having boundaries, but also having a boundary with love, and being able to really be a lot more present for my kids. What that means is, in a practical sense, is putting my phone down when I'm with them, not being distracted by a job that needs doing in the kitchen if my daughter wants to speak to me. And that may sound really small, but those are the kind of moments that I would be distracted out of, because I had so much to do and I wasn't putting importance on the relationship. Like, what is important to build this relationship here? Like, how am I showing up for my daughter right now? It's just brought a greater depth of like awareness in each moment.
You say
Um,
that that might look quite small, but what I've found with the girls is that um, when you're present and really listening,
mm,
that's everything.
mm,
Like, so much happens in that that's not available when
mm,
you're distracted.
mm,
I love that. Um, I love that the things that you saw are
mm,
um are like really kind of practical, real time.
mm,
You know, that they're not just some ideas that you learn and like
mm,
every now and then you revisit, that
mm,
actually things shifted, like
mm,
really practically because of
mm.
that. And I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. And
Sure.
and what the last question I was going to ask was, why do you think people should attend? But I'm not going to ask that, because
Mm,
it's impossible to know what someone will take away
mm,
or find from it. So instead, I'm going to say, what are you most, and I know you're caught up in helping to organise it, so
mhm.
you might not have given it thought, but what are you most looking forward to um, in the Birmingham event next year?
Great question. Great question. There is something magical about when, I think, the arc of the day, there's 2 days, and the arc of the each day is being curated specifically to set up how we listen, and then to open people up to being available to hear something in a different way that they might not have heard it before. And there are those magical moments where someone is speaking, and the caliber of speakers that we've got is incredible. You know, some of the same speakers that we've heard have been present at London. Some are people that, so for example, Karan Rai, he's spoken at all the Being events, but he's different. And I think, so there's something about when some people that are speaking speak from who they're being. They show really, and we use these words that we use like confidently, articulately, but it's something more than that. They're coming from a place of, they're not trying to impress you, they're just sharing who they are being in that moment, what most makes sense to them. And it's when you can hear a pin drop because someone is speaking in that particular, because there's something about it, we receive it not through our heads, it's like we receive it across our whole body. Our whole body's almost listening. We're listening from our heart, our stomach, our shoulders. If you're open to it, that's possible. And people stop taking notes, and they're just enraptured by what they are experiencing, witnessing, and absorbing. It's that moment, those moments, that's what I'm most looking forward to. Because in an audience of 1,500 people, it's entirely possible. And I'm just sort of getting goosebumps just thinking about it, because I know who's going up on the stage, and I know I have experience of how they are being in conversation with me and about this event. So just having Gary Marler, Raghav Parkash, Ankush Jain, Lindsay Capp, these sort of speakers, Becky Robbins, Fiona Ross, up on the stage and sharing from their being, I think it's just going to be like bathing in love and being and everything that can come from that, knocking down more possibles of possibility. So yeah,
I
that's
really
what,
love that.
yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to.
I've got like a sense of oh my goodness, like already I know I'm gonna step away, like seeing something completely different to what I however I saw it before. Yeah, absolutely amazing. I'm going to wrap up there, but thank you very much, and good luck with the organising it. I'm going to do this on your behalf now and shout out and say if anybody else wants to get involved to get in touch, because I imagine you can always use more hands on deck, right?
Absolutely, and I'll share the link, the volunteer link to fill in if you are keen to support in any way, social media wise, marketing, or we'll also put, I'm sure we'll put below this the link to buy tickets as well, because tickets are available now, and we've just launched, whenever this goes out, but we have just launched an installment plan where people can pay £50 between now and Christmas to secure their ticket, and then part pay in installments of £125 to cover the cost of the early creator ticket. So to spread that cost between now and the event. So we're making it as accessible as we can for people.
And obviously if people have got any questions, they can reach out, they can reach out to you. I'm happy if they come to me and I'll point them in the direction as well. But I just wanted to say there's like a huge difference between intending to go and thinking you'll get around to it, and actually, like, once you know you're going to something, and I'm speaking from my experience here, you that's when the like anticipation and the like kind of excitement, that's when you start to get involved, isn't it? When you've still not done it or you're still undecided, you kind of don't listen to what to everything that's been shared. And I know that you've got like interviews with the speakers already, so there's some amazing content going out before the event even starts. And I don't think well, certainly I don't, until I'm like, right, yeah, there I'm going, I've done it. I don't fully engage with stuff like that. So I thought I'd just add that on as well before we go.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you very much. And
welcome.
I'm looking forward to the second one as well. And good luck.
Thank you.
Organising.